After Bournemouth signed Dominic Solanke and Nathaniel Klein, everyone started talking about how many players they've signed from Liverpool. So that got us thinking, which club does each Premier League side sign most of their players from? Let's take a look, looking at every deal that's happened between now and the summer of 2008. The team also signed most of their players from Manchester United. Since the summer of 08, the Gunners have brought in 3 players from Old Trafford, although one of them was just so that Alexis Sanchez could go the other way. Mkhitaryan was the most recent arrival, and before that it was that guy Welbs, who in the end wasn't really worth the £80 million invested. The third was Mikael Silvestre, who surprisingly became the first player since Brian Kidd in 1947 to directly spot Manchester United for Arsenal. Bournemouth surprisingly signed most of their players from Liverpool. 5 times since 2008 have the Cherries snapped out a player from Liverpool, and to be honest they haven't been that successful. We're yet to see what Klein and Solanke can do, but Aussie fullback Brad Smith is nowhere to be seen, while Jordan Ibe hasn't lived up to the hype. The 5th player was Craig Linfield on loan, and no issues if you haven't heard from him, he's now playing for Nantwich in the Evo-Stick Northern Premier League. Brighton have signed most of their players from Swansea City. Style of football seems to be the main reason behind this, as both Swansea and Brighton used to be famous for their tiki-taka brand once upon a time. There were no massive names to swap Swansea for Brighton, Leroy Lita probably being the most well-known player, who moved to the Amex on loan in 2013, scoring 1 goal in 5 championship games. Burnley's go-to club is Stoke City. When you play shithouse football, you're going to sign shithouse players, which explains why Burnley do a lot of their shopping at the Bet365 stadium. In the summer of 2017 they signed Jonathan Walters and Phil Bardsley, who are the most famous 2 of the 5 players Burnley brought in from Stoke City. Will there be any more this January? I'm sure Charlie Adams is available. Cardiff has signed the most players from Norwich City. While signing a load of Canaries doesn't sound too exciting, Cardiff had some decent success with the rivals from Carrow Road. Of the 6 players they signed, David Marshall was a solid goalkeeper and still is, while Anthony Pilkington certainly did a job in Wales, converting himself into a striker. Their latest and most expensive signing was Josh Murphy, and Neil Warnock will be praying he eventually proves his worth. Chelsea have had most players come from Barcelona. Now this is exciting. Imagine being a team where you sign most of your players from the biggest club in the world, well one of them. It's just a shame none of them have been Messi. Since the summer of 2008, Chelsea have signed 4 players from the new camp, bringing in Deco, Cesc Fabregas, Pedro and Oriol Romeu. 3 of those won the Premier League title with the Blues, while Oriol Romeu didn't quite have the same success, but the rest certainly excelled in blue. Crystal Palace have signed most of their players from Sunderland and Arsenal. 4 times in the last 10 years, a player has swapped red and white for red and blue, with Patrick Van Aanholt and Colin Wickham costing the Eagles nearly $20 million, and amazingly, it's the defender who scored more goals. Palace have also done 4 deals with Arsenal, none of which hit the heights, with the legendary Yaya Sanogo arriving on loan to score 0 goals. Everton have signed most of their players from Manchester United. This one isn't too surprising. Goodison Park is the main place for has-been Man United players to go, just ask Wayne Rooney. He was the most recent, but there was also a huge money deal for Morgan Schneiderlin, which hasn't worked out at all. On top of that, they also completed cheaper deals for Tom Cleverley, Darren Gibson and Louis Saha. Fulham have also done most of their deals with Manchester United. Yeah, Man United sell a lot of players, and Fulham have taken 4 on since 2008. The biggest name had to be Dimitar Berbatov, who brought his ice cool approach to Craven Cottage for 18 months. The most recent arrival from Old Trafford is Timothy Fosu-Mensah, although there are reports that the Cottages will terminate his loan, which tells you all you need to know about his impact. Huddersfield Town are a tough one, as they've signed 4 players each from Manchester City, Liverpool, Middlesbrough, Leicester City and Leeds United. So no clear winner for Huddersfield, who even shop in Germany nowadays. But before David Wagner was around, they would seek loans from the bigger clubs as they look to climb the divisions. It's just surprising that Man United aren't in there too. Surprise surprise, Leicester City have signed most of their players from Manchester United. Since the summer of 2008, Leicester have signed a whopping 8 players from Man United, the biggest total so far. A lot of these deals came when the Foxes were in the Championship, signing players on loan such as Jesse Lingard and Michael Keane. Then you've got the likes of Danny Drinkwater and Matty James, 2 title winners with Leicester, so it's fair to say that the Foxes have used their links over at Old Trafford well in years gone by. Liverpool have of course signed most of their players from Southampton. It was a running joke for years that Southampton were just a feeder club for the Reds, and they took it to a whole new level last January by signing Virgil van Dijk for £75 million. But to be fair, it's mainly been good business by Liverpool, bar Ricky Lambert of course. Sadio Mane is a key player, Adnan Lallana had some good moments before injury bother, while Dejan Lovren is the self-proclaimed best in the world. Manchester City have signed most of their players from Arsenal. Another not so surprising one, because City always turned to the Gunners when they were just beginning their rise to prominence, signing Kolo Toure, Emmanuel Adebayor, Gael Clichy, Bakary Sagna and the new West Ham man Samir Nasri. Most of those players won a league title with City, while Arsenal had to settle for finishing 4th. Manchester United are awkward, as they haven't signed more than 2 players from a single club since the summer of 2008. The list of clubs they signed 2 players from include Everton, Chelsea, Arsenal, Borussia Dortmund, Southampton, Monaco and little old Stoke City, signing Lee Grant and Richie Delat, the 2 biggest signings in Manchester United's history. Newcastle have signed most of their players from Swansea City. While they used to love a deal from France, it's Wales where the Magpies have secured most of their players, nabbing 4 from the Liberty Stadium over the past decade. This summer they signed 2, with Federico Fernandez and Kei Seung-young heading to the North East following relegation, and of course Jonjo Shelvey also arrived at Newcastle from the Swans. And the 4th man is none other than Chef Kikuchi. Southampton have done most of their business with Celtic. 5 times the Saints have brought in players from north of the border, signing Stuart Armstrong, Virgil van Dijk, Victor Wanyama, Fraser Forster and Jos Højveld. Southampton have had great success signing players from Parkhead, and have actually made huge profits on Van Dijk and Wanyama. Although where would they actually be if they'd been able to keep a hold of these top players? Tottenham have done most of their business since 2008 with Portsmouth. This might be a shock considering Pompey are now in League One, but back in the day they were a Premier League outfit, and Harry Redknapp couldn't help but do a deal with his former employers, completing deals to sign favourites such as Peter Crouch, Jermaine Defoe, Yunus Kabul and Niko Kranjčar. Surprisingly, they weren't there to welcome them out of the jungle last year. Watford have signed most of their players from Udinese. I may have counted this one wrong, but I think between now and the summer of 2008, Watford have signed 22 separate players from Italian side Udinese. This might sound crazy, I mean it is, but the reason is simple. Watford's owner also owns Udinese, which is why they've been able to sign the likes of Odion Ighalo and Matej Vidra, players who played a key role in getting the Hornets promoted the other year. 22 players though, that's obscene. Most of West Ham's signings have come from Arsenal. We had 2 this summer, both of whom have had a bit of a disaster. Lucas Perez is already linked with the exit door, while Jack Wilshere is looking after his brittle body at home. They are 2 of the 6 players West Ham signed from Arsenal in years gone by, with the other 4 being loan deals that won't challenge Felipe Anderson for being West Ham's most exciting signing ever. And finally, Wolves have signed most players from Sunderland. This might change in the coming years with super agent Mendes' links with Portuguese clubs, but it seems as though Wolves have done most of their business with Sunderland since 2008, bringing in 4 players from the North East. The most recent arrival from the Black Cats was in 2014, when Danny Graham arrived on loan. Oh, how things have changed at Molineux. So that's the club that each Premier League side has signed the most players from. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.